Hello, welcome back to Search with Sean, and this is something new, a new weekly news episode. Obviously, first of its kind. It'll be in addition to the longer form ones that I do, but I was getting lonely. I needed some friends to talk about stuff, and I don't want to hear my own voice all the time, so I think it's good to get others involved. So I will bring up, because it is a new format, I will bring up the slides and basically just explaining how we're going to lay this out, and it might change because it is the first of its kind. And as you see, all the links as usual will be found in the description, so if you want to read more about it, you can go and check it out. There's also things we probably won't get to that you can go and check out, and they'll all be listed there. But generally we're going to do introductions, and then we're going to move on to our top stories. They're not, it might not be the usual stuff, as I always say, like the algorithm updates or whatever. Just things we find interesting. And then videos as well, things that we've seen that we find interesting, we want to share. And then top socials, doesn't have to be that. It could be LinkedIn, it could be Blue Sky, it could be anywhere in the social world. So that's that. But generally we'll go around and do introductions. Hopefully you know me by now, but obviously, I'm the SEO manager at Macmillan and the host of Search with Sean. So I'll hand it over to Amanda.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Amanda. I am the director of a company called Cedarwood Digital. So we are a performance marketing agency based in Manchester. We specialize in SEO, digital PR, and paid media. I've been in the industry for, nearly 20 years now. It's quite a long time. Specializing in kind of SEO and digital PR, predominantly in regulated spaces. And just really looking forward to chatting through this week's news.
Cool. Nick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick. So I am the director of SEO and Google Discover at a company called Reach PLC, which is the publisher of 60 different news brands. So a few that you're probably familiar with, like the Daily Mirror, The Express, Daily Star, Manchester Evening News, to name a few. Busy old job.
Nice. Yeah, Stan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. And I'm Stan. I'm SEO specialist and founder of Fast Strategies, inbound marketing agency. And thank you. And really looking forward for this new format.
Awesome. And last but not least, Harry.
Hi, I'm Harry. I'm the SEO director at The Telegraph. I've been there for maybe coming up 4 years and in the news industry for exactly the same amount of time. I've been in SEO for probably a decade, maybe slightly under at this point. And I write quite a lot on leadershipinSEO.com, which is my Substack. And ditto, looking forward to getting into it.
So this is the first one. Some shiny graphics. It's not that shiny, but just we're going to go through top stories and talk through those. So I will start because it's a new format, and then I'll let my guest get into it. But so my one was, and I just picked this one for a reason, but it's around Elon Musk has launched Wikipedia, which is basically an AI cloned Wikipedia. So just to read more, it's from The Verge. This particular piece, which we covered in a few different areas, but Elon Musk, obviously, XAI has launched Wikipedia, a Wikipedia-styled site that appears to have copied large parts of Wikipedia, claiming its entries have been fact-checked with using AI, and obviously it's raised concerns about accuracy and licensing and ethics around it. I thought it's interesting. Obviously, I've just recently done a video on Wikipedia and my concerns, let's say, on how good it is, and I did recommend that one way it could be improved by integrating more AI elements into it, but I didn't think this was going to happen. But I just thought that was interesting. Let's see where that goes. Amanda, what was your first story you was looking at?
Yes, so I was having a little look through Search Engine Land, and there was a really interesting piece that they covered on a survey that had been done by another company called Smarty Marketing. And it was basically about how businesses were reacting to AI. I think this is super topical at the minute because I think a lot of people are a lot of the clients that we talk to, they're talking about, how do we tackle kind of SEO for AI? There's a lot of unpredictability about what it's going to look like. But in the survey, what was quite interesting was they're saying, obviously, 90% of businesses, so pretty much every business is concerned about losing visibility from an AI perspective. But I think one of the most interesting things that kind of came out of the survey was that not just the sheer amount of people that are already investing in it. So around about 85% of businesses were saying they were already investing in kind of AI and LLM optimization. But it was the fact that around about 75% of the businesses said that their top priority for AI was brand visibility. And I think this is just a really interesting point that's come out of the survey. So, in the past, when we talk about SEO, visibility has always been very important, but we've talked about things like, links and the importance of links, etc. And one of the points that came out of this survey was very much, they were saying, even if there was no link back to the website, what they really wanted to see was the brand visibility in these AI-generated answers. And we're definitely starting to see, I think, off the back of that, a switch towards what people are seeing as valuable and in AI could be quite different to what people are seeing as valuable in kind of traditional SEO. So I thought the survey was quite interesting off the back of that. And just the final kind of, interesting statistic was that only 4% of businesses said that they were looking to decrease their spend in SEO off the back of this. And this I personally found interesting because I think a lot of conversations that we've had in recent weeks and months has been around companies evaluating what the value of SEO is in an AI space. Should we reinvest into PPC because it's more visible and we're going to get a better return? Should we invest into digital PR because it's going to, help us with brand visibility? But actually, when we look at it reflectively through a kind of survey, there's only really 4% that are looking to reduce spend, which, to me wasn't particularly reflective of the market I've come across. So I think it's definitely interesting to see what people are thinking about it and how people are looking to tackle it as well.
All doom and gloom?
Not all doom and gloom, no. And I think that's the thing as well, isn't it? A lot of people are saying like SEO is dead and this and that, but actually this particular survey is showing that people are seeing it as actually, we need to spend a little bit more and kind of get a little bit more involved with what's going on. So it's, but potentially focusing more from a slightly branding perspective, which, maybe is a little bit different to what we would traditionally look at.
I think people are a lot of people just a bit worried, right? Or like it's a shiny new thing. They're like, oh, we have to invest here, we have to do something, but it'll just kind of figure itself out over time, right? Like for lots of us, I suspect there's very little value in any of this. And then for some businesses, maybe some more SaaS style companies, it's probably a lot more valuable to be there at a point where people do tend to convert more effectively, from my understanding. But yeah, I hope it just sort of levels out over time and this becomes less irritating. As a general rule, everyone's like, all right, that was a thing for a while. Let's not quite go back to those levels. Let's relax.
Interesting, actually. There was another study that was done that I think ties in to what you were just talking about, Amanda. So it was conducted by a team of professors at a university. And what they found was that ChatGPT shopping traffic actually converts worse than traditional organic search. So they found that that ChatGPT referral converts worse than Google search, email, and affiliate links. And what's also really interesting about that as well is that I feel like we're getting a lot of different information. There's so many studies being done right now into AI and how well it converts. So this study has basically said that it's converting worse, but then there was another study on top of that about 2 weeks ago by Patrick Stocks from Ahrefs, and he said that AI search converts 23 times higher than organic signups, specifically for paid and free. So I feel like there's a lot of studies coming out from every direction at the minute, and a lot of them are contradicting themselves.
I just had Will on the channel, Will from AMSIF, and he did a study on conversion rates between large language models like ChatGPT and obviously organic traffic, and he found basically there was no difference. And that was basically it. There was the data did tell obviously very small numbers in terms of large language models as well. So, but he found literally there was basically no difference at the moment. So that's, yeah, they say mixed messages.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think we know what we're dealing with 100% right now. And I suppose it also depends on what your KPIs are and what conversion means to you. If like a page view is your primary KPI, then taking your investment away from traditional SEO and moving it towards, trying to get visibility through AI might not be the best decision, because it's not going to be sending loads of page views. And also then as well, what the industry has been saying is that, brands want to get that visibility within AI, but then before people actually make a purchase from brands, they still want to hear from humans. They want to check out reviews. Like, who does it whenever you're shopping, even if it's on Amazon, eBay, whatever it is, you want to check out the reviews before you actually make a purchase. So yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah. And something that has been brought up quite a lot is that people will go from ChatGPT back to Google to do another search. So again, if you're not being found on Google, again, that trust factors like not there. People are like, oh, why are they not even on the first page of Google if I'm doing the search around this? But it's all plays it's interesting. Nick, was that your main story, or have you got more to?
I do have one other to flag if we have time.
Go and shoot it, then we'll get on to the other two.
Yeah, sure. So like the story that I wanted to talk about, because where I work in news publishing, Discover sends a lot of traffic to news publishers. I think there was a statistic that was shared at NES last week, which was, I think Discover sends twice as much traffic than organic search now to news publishers in particular. And my former boss at The Sun, his name's Malcolm Coles, he shared some screen grabs on LinkedIn from some tools, one called Marfil and one's called NewsDash. I don't know how familiar everyone is with those tools, but they give you, and they show you basically what stories from across the market are getting the most visibility in the general Discover feed. And we're seeing a lot of spam content from sites that have just appeared from nowhere overnight, which is really frustrating if you're a news publisher, because we put a lot of effort, a lot of time and effort into, creating solid Discover strategies. And so to see Google giving visibility to spam websites, not just spam websites, this is your money, your life content as well. So, about pensions, driving licenses, important information for Google to be given visibility to spam sites is, especially after we just had a spam update as well, not the best.
Yeah, they've, I think for in the last year or two, remember there was a time years ago where actually the spam problem was pretty bad, and it definitely got better. I'd say in the last year particularly, they just don't care. I think they're investing so much in AI at the minute that they're just like, look, if you Google any type of online casino search, like best online casinos, I guarantee 1 or 2 of the top 20 results is some black hat SEO guys who know what they're doing, have bought an old expired charity domain or old blah, 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 or something, spun it up into a one-pager. It ranks, they make thousands of dollars every month, and it will take ages to get taken down. I just think they've kind of given up the ghost with this, and they're just like, people just know how to play it too well. And I think they've spent a long time combating that. To be honest, I think they're just like, we don't care anymore. So I think it's just maybe quite a good symbol of where we are and what their focus is on. But I agree, it's shite.
Yeah.
As I say, just to add to that, Harry, because we do quite a lot of work in the YML space, that's where we specialize. And what you just said about the repurchased charity domains is absolutely rife in the iGaming space in particular.
Crazy.
It can be like any kind of, charity trust, and they're ranking position 2, 3, 4. They've still got the domain name. They've still got the page title in many cases that belongs to that, but they're obviously optimizing it for iGaming. And it's causing, also a lot of problems for the actual iGaming providers, because they're losing a lot of rankings to these black hat techniques, and it's being done in mass.
It's crazy. Any industry where there's just this, where there's so much money, it's just it'll be this crypto, any of those ones where you're like, there's a reason they should be spending more time on YML stuff. It's because it could be pretty dangerous to people. And they're just they have such I think, apathy for what's actually happening, which is a shame. And yeah, there's some really good, don't know if any of you follow Charles Float on LinkedIn. He always talks about this kind of stuff. He's really, really good, black hat SEO style things, but he's always talking about how people do this and how it works, and raises a lot of these issues. It's just got worse and worse. You're right. It is quite ironic. We finished the spam update. This is terrible. This is literally, I'm not an expert at this and what they're doing. I don't know how you can't pick out some of this stuff. It can't be that difficult. I'm sorry.
So I was listening podcast other day, and it was about Reddit tactic, and they mentioned that like especially for e-gaming right now, like going like highly on Reddit's threads and all these things works the best for them. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard the same one actually, and I had Craig Campbell on not that long ago, and he was talking about, if you want to do that kind of thing, this is like the best time to do it in this environment. It's gone back to the old days where it was quite easy to do it, and it's crazy how it's gone full circle. I think, like you're right, Harry. I think they've taken the eye off the ball. I'm going to have a health panel show with health experts on soon around health information and misinformation and AI and stuff. So that should be very interesting to see what people think. So yeah, we'll move on. Stan, what's top of your list?
Yeah, I will continue with AI topic. So what really like caught my attention this week was it was really like clickbait title, but it sounded like you have no idea how screw OpenAI actually is. And the news was about like their revenues or like losses they have. Like I guess we are all aware that they're like burning a lot of money at the moment, not earning much because they don't go with ads. They have some subscriptions or something, but probably not earning a lot of money. But they're like revenue losses nets in the half of the year so far is like 13.5 billion at the moment. And prediction is that by end of the year it will be 27 billion loss. And even they are like predicting that by 2029 they will be like hitting 125 billions revenue, but actually what's more realistic is that there will be like $500 billion in the loss by 2029. So yeah, it's just crazy to think about like these all numbers.
I was just saying that on the channel I showed this woman who does really great videos called Vanessa Wingard. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she basically did one on this subject and just saying how corrupt it is. If you look at the numbers, it's literally all these big companies, tech companies like OpenAI, NVIDIA, Meta, all those people, they're moving money around so that no one's really making profit. They just look in their accounts, they look like they're making some profit, but it's moving money around the market. That's what it seems. And like Stan said, they haven't really got a money-making model at the moment, so they're making losses and they're signing huge contracts for, a huge amounts of money that they can't really, it's all a bit messed up. And I'll put a link to that video, actually, because people should watch it. It's really good.
Yeah, they just signed a $300 billion contract with Oracle, right, for like data storage and warehousing over 5 years, I think. So you're right, it's like good. But then there's such a good, this actually isn't a story I was going to talk about, but a guy called, I think his name's Brian Balfour. Maybe I'll send the link afterwards to you, because it's definitely worth reading. But he wrote an article about how all these big tech companies work and how they've made money over time. And basically the model is always like identify the moat. So for Google, the moat is just like customer information. Once they organized the internet, gathered all the information about everybody, they identified a kind of unique selling point for their business. And then everybody opens the gates. So then it's like free access for everyone. So they become like completely ingrained in everything that you do. And then they shut the gates and monetize everything. And it was like Facebook in fact, what was that farm game Facebook did? Anyone remember?
Farmville.
Yeah, but yeah, Farmville. Yeah.
I've just started playing Farmville 3 on my phone. Embarrassing admission.
No shade. I'm sure I don't remember it that well, but I remember it being really big for a period of time. But it was all about them opening the gates, getting developers to work with what they had, because it was the Facebook app marketplace. And suddenly it was so ingrained in everybody's life that when they shut and monetized everything, everyone was like, oh shit, well, this is what we have to do. I think OpenAI, like you said, Stan, it's either they'll probably do this quicker than anybody ever, because everybody else took some time to get to this point. Whereas I think for them, they're like, all right, we probably don't have that much time, but we've also been like way more ingrained than others. This kind of thing. Really interesting.
Yeah, but I also think like they were expecting that Google will be losing their share on the market more. And like actually the number shows that like Google is not losing the like shares on the market. Yes, OpenAI or like AI tools in general, like getting higher. But still, like people are not abandoning Google. They're still like coming back to Google, and like Google more investing in AI modes, AI overviews. So it might be interesting to see what will happen in next few years.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, and obviously I'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure we're discussing more on these episodes. And Harry, to finish off, what's top of your list?
There's a super. It's not that SEO-y, I don't think, but in the spirit of Reddit and LLMs, I don't know if anybody reads Lars Lofgren. It's like a VP of content somewhere, but like super interesting guy. Content's really good. He did that thing about so I guess went kind of millennial viral, just everywhere on LinkedIn, I guess. Been writing about CodeSmith and how it was completely bombed by a Reddit moderator, CodeSmith being a coding bootcamp. And there was like a rival coding bootcamp who, unfortunately, the guy who owned or was part of that coding bootcamp was the Reddit moderator. So it started all these like relatively salacious, libelous lies over years that eventually through that Reddit thread, and obviously that was such a big area that people went to get like real people's opinion about whether the coding bootcamp was good or not. And I think it nobbled like 80% of the revenue over the course of a couple of years, and they just had no idea what was happening. I thought it was quite interesting because we're doing, like us and lots of other people have been talking about Reddit a little bit more and being like, okay, is this a good platform for us? Is this for our audiences? And lots of it, I think, gets fed into the kind of, Reddit and Trustpilot until pretty recently have been like huge for LLMs and how they surface what your brand is, what people think of it. And he said that almost every part of the customer journey, this one Reddit thread, which was like coding boot camps, was being used everywhere, and it nailed. The Trustpilot reviews got nailed, in LLMs everything got nailed, and they just lost all their money in the business. And it was like, it's a pretty wild story, I thought, about how dangerous something like Reddit can be. And even we talk about trust with AI, but actually how like, untrustworthy loads of people are as well. So it's quite like can be quite a murky corner of the internet.
And I feel like user generated content in particular, like Google's openly said that that's becoming, increasingly important because people want to read what other people have to say. And to know that it's just having like that much of an impact, especially if you're a brand, my goodness. Does SparkToro have a new tool, don't they, where you can track your brand mentions? Does that track Reddit mentions? Does anyone know?
I was going to say, I thought it was like the whole internet because I think it's called Alert Mouse. It
Yes.
had incredibly, I was going to say, I like Rand, I like the copywriting was, I really wanted to say it's so cheesy, but that is also a pun because it's about Mars back. Everything was cheese punned. And after a while, I was like, this is too much even for me. It looks very cool. I think we were interested for sure.
Yeah, well, we're going to have Rand on soon, actually, so I'll be able to talk to him about that very soon. But yeah, look forward to it.
You can edit that bit out, Sean. Don't worry.
I'll bring up the cheese.
I love the cheese puns.
No, but it's interesting. Another thing, this whole user-generated stuff is quite interesting because obviously it makes sense, because people want to get away from AI stuff. But then when you see how many of those user-generated things are actually AI bots anyway, so most people are talking to some form of AI bot. It's not user-generated content anymore. It's just you're talking to another form of AI. It's going to be really interesting in the future how we get over that.
But what's also interesting is that I think our generation doesn't necessarily, like for me, if I do a Google search on AI, I like AI mode. I probably shouldn't say that, but I do find it quite good. But at the same time, if there was a fact given to me, I'd still need to verify it because I work in SEO. I know not to trust whatever AI just tells me. I would never take that, as gospel. But that said, the under 35s do completely trust AI. I think there was a study done. I can't remember where I've had that statistic, but the under 35s are the ones that trust what information AI is spouting out. And so if the under 35s is a, key target audience for your brand, then tracking like how your brand is being spoken about, like that example that Harry just gave, is just so important.
Yeah.
Just lie. Say what you want. Make yourself look good.
Yeah. Essentially, I mean, obviously, like I said, there's all sorts of studies out there, like Christian Ward of Yext, who we've had on recently. And there's a study came out that more increasingly people don't trust the first result and they then look again and search again. But then, like you say, there are other studies where different demographics have different behaviors, and obviously a lot of trusting TikTok and Instagram as like a source for medical information, for example. And it's going to be strange times ahead. So we get on to the next part, and then we're actually on time, which is remarkable for me. Videos. I need to get a voiceover thing, but we're not quite there yet. But yeah, we're going to go over kind of some of the top videos we've seen in the last week or so. Again, I'll start, and it's a random one, but because my daughter's been banging on about these things for so long, and I saw this on Hrevs, and I was like, I've got to watch that, and it was really funny and a great story into it. But before I go on, it's about Labubu. I always pronounce it wrong, but Labubus and their rise to fame and then their fall afterwards, and just how they did their marketing campaign, and they made it so popular that everyone wanted it. Rihanna was walking around with one. If people aren't aware of them, there's these creepy little doll things, and everyone was raving about it. I'm sure you would have seen one. All the celebrities are kind of walking around with them. And yeah, I had to cave in and get my daughter one as well, even though I didn't want to, and they cost a fortune, and you had to get into raffles to get one. Absolutely bonkers. But basically, it got really crazy. The marketing strategy was really good, actually, and it was worldwide, and they did a great job to make it such a in-demand product. But now it's kind of going downhill, and the Google search demand just totally fallen off a cliff. And yeah, it's just interesting that kind of he talks about how they did it, but then how others have done it to sustain that sort of demand for a product and not just totally fall off a cliff and kind of lose it. So yeah, with all the videos, I'll show a brief clip of the video after we talk about them, so everyone could catch what we're talking about.
This is a Labubu, a $25 toy that somehow became the hottest fashion accessory of 2025.
Labubu.
Labubu dolls. Fans are rioting to get one. Resellers are flipping them for thousands, and celebrities from Lisa to Rihanna to Dua Lipa are showing them off. This ugly little gremlin didn't just go viral, it turned Pop Mart, once a little-known Chinese toy company, into a $40 billion giant that's now worth more than Hasbro and Mattel combined. But this didn't happen by chance.
Labubu's rise followed a 4-part viral cycle that we're all susceptible to.
And it all starts with the box. Pop Mart used a clever way to package Labubu, and this is what became the engine of their viral marketing machine, because it was driven by one of the most powerful psychological triggers in marketing: scarcity. But what they did wasn't a new trick. Pokemon cards and LOL surprise dolls had already used the same formula to build billion-dollar empires.
And yeah, Amanda. Oh, sorry, Nick, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, is that to do with anything to do with marketing, or is it more to do with, you get a lot of those crazes with toys, don't you? Do you remember in the 90s when it was Tamagotchis and then they had their day, and then there was there was some creepy talking toy, but it didn't quite talk in English. It was I've forgotten what it was, but loads of toys have those kind of phases, don't they?
I think it's
and also,
go ahead, Nick, go on.
and I was going to say, and also Labubus, I heard a ghost story about them. I heard that they were possessed, so maybe that's why demand's gone down.
Yeah, I did hear that, actually. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's always crazes. I think what's really interesting about it is how adults got so into it, and celebrities. It just seemed really, and positioned it so certain things would happen like that, and I thought it was a really interesting take.
I had no idea what you were talking about, Sean, when you said Labubu. I thought I was thinking in my mind, I thought it was either a name for the Dubai chocolate bar, and I don't know why I thought that, but that's what came into my head. Or I thought it was a pair of shoes. But I was just going to leave it and see if someone else came up with it.
Harry, Google it. See a picture of them. They look like goblins or something. They're really creepy.
Well, a little bit scary. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't want to look at it too much, but and if it's haunted, then that would explain some of my haunted dreams I've had recently. No, I'm joking. Amanda, what about your video?
I was going to say, you're going to give people nightmares who've got a Labubu now, especially if they've invested a lot in them. So yeah, from a video perspective, one that caught my eye this week was YouTube's Ask Studio product. So I think there's been so much talk recently about the value of marketing on YouTube and video, and the kind of bumpers and all the different bits that you can do. And I know that we, in particular, we've trialed it, we've tested it, we've seen, to be fair, some pretty good results from it. And this new product that they've launched essentially utilizes AI to get information from the channel and kind of understand the audience. And it's done almost in like I want to say like a ChatGPT format. So you can literally ask questions to the Ask Studio product. You can ask it things like, can you summarize the contents of like the last video? Can you look at sentiments? So kind of how it, came across to the audience. Can you analyze, like if you're getting comments and questions on your videos, could the AI actually analyze that for you, give feedback? Can it also like identify potentially gaps within your content? So, are there new ideas that can come up based on like the data and the feedback that the audience has given? And it's all done in that kind of conversational format. So you're almost having a chat with it to ask it very specific questions. And then it's pulling from your entire video and ad data set to answer those questions. You can also ask it to do things like, summarize your top 3 performing videos and make comments, get that kind of insight scale. And you can also then kind of pull in like external YouTube data to look at things like trending topics that the audience might be interested in.
What's up, insiders? I'm Jessica, a product manager on YouTube Creator Studio, and today I'm super excited to introduce you to a brand new tool in YouTube Studio designed to make your creator journey even smoother. Ask Studio. We've been working hard on this, and we know you'll have some questions, so let's start with the basics. What is Ask Studio? Ask Studio is your new AI creative companion, offering quick, helpful information and ideas rooted in your channel's data. Think of it as a thought partner integrated directly into YouTube Studio that can help you with things like gathering insights on what your community is saying, understanding your analytics, and finding new inspiration for your next videos. So why did we decide to build Ask Studio, and what needs does it address for creators? We built Ask Studio to save you time and effort. It uses your channel and video data to give you tailored and useful insights right within Studio. This means you can get answers and ideas specifically relevant to your content and your audience, allowing you to focus more on bringing your creative vision to life and less time digging for information. Let's see this in action. Once you're signed into YouTube Studio, you'll notice a new sparkle icon in the top right corner of your dashboard. Simply click on it, and you'll see the Ask Studio chat interface. You can expand the window to see more info on the screen. Let's try selecting the Summarize Comments prompt to get a quick overview of what our viewers are saying. Ask Studio will provide you with a summary of key themes, sentiment, inspiring comments, and other useful information. You can also type your own questions. For instance, if you want to understand the performance of a video, try Analyze the Performance of, and click on a plus icon to select a video from the list. Ask Studio can give you insights, pulling directly from your channel's analytics data and suggesting areas for improvement. After you receive a response, you can easily provide feedback by clicking on the 3-dot icon and selecting Send Feedback. You can leave a more detailed answer after selecting one of the available ratings.
And Nick, what was your video about?
My video is actually an interview Google's head of search, Liz Reed, did with the Wall Street Journal. And it was a couple of weeks ago, but I thought it was worth flagging because, I don't know, sometimes when Google gives interviews, I don't know what you guys think, but they can be a little bit vague. But I thought this was actually quite interesting. They quizzed her about, AI and some of their AI products like AI overviews, and they kind of highlighted, the potential impact that this is having on CTR for publishers. If all of the information is given away in the SERP, then, you're not giving people a reason to click through to publishers. And the interviewer said to Liz, is this something that you guys are talking about at Google? Because when we've been discussing the impact that AI features are having on CTR within the SEO industry, part of me is just like, surely it can't be to kill off traffic completely to publishers, because you need something to feed your AI, right? If we stop publishing content, how are you going to power your AI with the latest information? And Liz addressed it. So it's obviously something that they are talking about. But I don't know if I was like overly impressed with her answer. She's like, no, we are having conversations about that. For example, that's why we've rolled out preferred sources, which is still only available in the US. Although I'm not sure that's going to have a dramatic impact on traffic. And then she also talked about inline linking as well, which again, obviously it's good, but I'm not sure it's going to like counteract the impact that all of these AI features are going to have, are having on CTR. And bear in mind that AI overviews is coming to Discover as well. I think it's already there in the US.
Uncertain. You've been at Google for more than 20 years. You've seen other new technologies. I'm wondering where this AI moment ranks in that history. Is it the biggest shift yet?
I do think it's the most profound shift. Certainly, there have been quite a number of big ones. I think the shift to mobile particularly stands out. But for search, like it's an information product, right? And this is a technology shift that is fundamentally changing about information. So the technology shift is sort of most directly connected to the product itself. And I think one of the things that's really just exciting about it is you have a lot of engineers and product managers that have dreamed for years of things they wanted to build, right? Why can't we do this? Why can't we answer this question? Why can't we make the information available to people in every language? And it finally feels like we have a technology that sort of makes those things possible.
I'm glad you mentioned in every language, right? Because sort of the less known history of today's large language models, the initial focus for this kind of AI was language translation, and then it turned out it could be used for chatbots. For good reasons, Google didn't release their initial language models. Then in 2022, we had the ChatGPT moment, and it felt like it was kind of a hair on fire moment for Google internally. A lot has happened in the interim. Google has caught up, quote unquote, in a lot of ways, but it also feels a little bit like Google is still catching up. Do you feel like that's the case?
I think I can't talk to the company as a whole, but I would say in search, this is a space where we've been using AI in search for quite some time. You go back to the time of Transformers, and we brought in search with BERT.
And BERT being your original, one of the Transformers.
Yeah, one of the original Transformers.
Which was incorporated into search results before OpenAI, before ChatGPT was even a thing.
Yeah, initially the technology was such that things like latency and quality felt promising, but to the point where we had them sort of more behind the scenes. They were in ranking. They were in sort of small features across. And it's only in the last couple of years that the tech has really been there where you can bring it in a much more forward way to users. I think in search we have, to your previous point about billions of people use this is a product that has a sense of trust that people have built over years, and we really want to maintain that. I think it's been an evolution in search over the last several years, but it's exciting to be able to bring it more forefront to the user and unlock new capabilities that way.
I will continue on OpenAI wave. So my videos is also, I don't know if any of you noticed, but they launched their first like brand campaign. They launched like 300 videos, and like could show us like where, like what's the most search prompts or like used prompts in ChatGPT.
Yes, it would make sense for them to. It would make sense if their first few creatives were pretty targeted around the stuff that people really use it for, or that they think there's real value for, wouldn't it? So I think you could definitely imply those are three of the areas. Most of my friends use it for pretty stupid stuff as well, I've realized. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but when you're like outside of the tech bubble, the sort of techish bubble that we live in, and you realize what your friends use it for, you're like, this is so wasted on you. That's all I think with this stuff. They'll just be like, all they do is use it to like rewrite an email or figure out how many children they could beat in a fight or something like that. Those are the last two things that I've seen. I was like, all right, you actually don't need this.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've used it for two of those things, not cooking because I can't cook at all. But yeah,
maybe you should try ChatGPT to help.
Yeah, maybe that's the future.
See, I wouldn't trust AI for a recipe. I would go to a chef whose work I was familiar with. Like I'd trust like Gordon Ramsay. I wouldn't trust OpenAI for that in case they, threw in some pretty odd ingredients. And, I struggle with cooking as it is. Don't let AI creating more problems for me. God knows what they're going to tell me to do.
I found AI as well. I ask it a lot for like cooking temperatures, because I cook a lot in my slow cooker and my air fryer. And I've recently purchased a thermometer, which honestly has changed my life. I'd highly recommend it to anyone. But I ask, if I'm just typing into either Google or ChatGPT, what temperature does chicken need to be cooked to? I literally get about 6 different temperatures. And I'm like, which one is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I obviously then go on a reputable website to find out which the temperature actually is. But if I was just taking the first result, I honestly could tell you it's anything from like 50 degrees, which obviously is too low, to up to about, I think 85 is the kind of golden standard. But yeah, it's alarming. I'd end up with food poisoning.
Yeah, you would. That's probably why they're asking for more content. Like, can you come correct us, please?
I like my chicken medium rare, so, it was a nice way of having it.
Have you seen me out of rocks on pizza? So I guess we could go with either of those.
Tell me where we're going now?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Telling you till you do.
I'm telling you. I need to know. I need to know.
I don't think, Harry, you had a video, did you?
I didn't. I'm a bit of a philistine when it comes to. I have some video style content, but I'm a written word kind of guy for most of this stuff. I don't know why. It's like I do listen to things, but just more often than not, I can just sit in and like I'd rather have something to read. I don't know if I could have both. That's fine. But there was an interesting article about lots of us in publishers. Part of the big like shift that I think will happen for lots of us, Nick. I'm sure it'll be the same for you, but people really empowering individuals to build them up as influencers and creators as part of all of our own brands, because I think there's only so far you can grow a brand and you can really see how much the creator economy's taken off. So everybody's like, okay, well, can we invest in building stars, basically, in the kind of new world? And there was an interesting article about the Washington Post who had a TikTok guy called Dave Jorgensen. I'm kind of reading this because I obviously can't remember this stuff off the screen. But it looked, someone did a breakdown of their YouTube viewership pre and post him leaving to see if people had actually stuck around and if there was brand affinity with the Washington Post or with Dave. And as soon as he left, they saw basically an 85% decline in their TikTok channel, I think. So I think it was interesting that like lots of us in the kind of legacy media format are looking at how we build people, but then there's also that, okay, well, how do we keep them engaged? People do go, so there's so much appetite for it as individuals into video content, but there's probably a slight disconnect between how we keep those people as influencers or how we try and retain some of that audience.
We'll move on to the last section, which is, we'll bring it up, top socials. And yeah, well, Harry, as you didn't really have a video, although you did bring us a nice new piece. Should we start with you on that one?
Why not? So I don't know if any of you guys use like Data for SEO or SERP API or like any rank tracking tool or crawling scraping device. But after Google deprecated the like num100 parameter, which really obviously threw all the rank trackers into a bit of a spin, obviously everybody's been working on, well, they're all trying to create workarounds for it, because otherwise for them it becomes far more expensive, or they can only show the top 10 or 20, which does lose us something. And Data for SEO built a workaround, and their COO, Katerina Shevchenko, was talking about it. They said like they built a sort of light version, so that they were able to keep as many of the results as possible for us instead of the num100 parameter. That would hopefully be more cost effective and mean that we still got some value out of this. They said Google rolled out another change. It was their Google Lite. I have to read this because there's nowhere around this, so I'm looking this way. It was their Google Lite SERP API endpoints now only return the top 10 results, and they're about to be deprecated. So the work that they've done to try and reverse engineer or to reverse the damage that the changes, the deprecation of the num100 parameter caused, has kind of gone up in smoke again. So like, I think we're maybe on the precipice of like, I think it's been talked about anyway, but we might be on the precipice of rank tracking really shifting. And I think it has to shift anyway with AI, multi LLMs, however you want to whatever you want it to look like and be, particularly with AI mode. But I think it's kind of interesting that we might just be starting to see that initial shift, seeing how these companies are going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I've talked about on the channel a lot of times around the future of SEO tools and rank tracking tools. It's going to be very, very interesting. Amanda. Yeah.
One thing that I was just going to say on the rank tracking tools, because this has been an absolute nightmare for us in the last couple of months, trying to explain to clients why anything that was outside the top 10 has now gone outside the top 100. Obviously, people that are aware of it have been fine, but people that haven't been aware of it, it's been just a nightmare to try and explain how that's worked. But I think the interesting thing that we've seen from the tools, particularly, so we use a lot of Ahrefs, is that we obviously pay quite a lot for the tool already each month. And now what's happened is that the ability to track between position 10 and 100 is only available on the enterprise level. So to kind of put that into context, I think we pay about £350 a month for the advanced, which traditionally gave us all the rank tracking. You pay like a little bit extra on top of that for it. But now to get that 10 to 100, you're looking at over 12 grand a year. So that, I think, is pricing. A lot of the tools are pricing themselves out of the market. The ones that are able to do it for anything that relates to an SME. And I think that's going to change the way that a lot of people are reporting on that. So that's definitely something that we've come across.
Yeah. It's like, I think all of this, like to your earlier point, Nick, as well, of like, we're all just kind of cleaning up messes. And it's just mess that the solution that had been created before obviously changes kind of a necessity, and we have to keep evolving. But at the minute, you just feel like that so much stuff is breaking off the back of these changes that literally like business models and businesses are kind of going under left, right, and centre. So you're sort of looking at it being like, right, well, fuck, what do we do now? So interesting, albeit pretty irritating. Every so often, it's fine. Like relentlessly, pretty irritating.
Yeah, I just had John Goody on as well, and he's great with building things with AI and stuff. And he's just saying, no, we discussed this topic, and he's just saying that now, like, these tools are going to be careful because the world has opened up now, and people can build their own tools quite easily compared to how they used to. So if you have some basic skill set, you can use in Python or whatever, you can build your own tool relatively quickly and cheaply and move away from these tools. So they need to, I agree. I think like if you've got certain budgets, if you work in house and you're relying on these tools and then suddenly it goes up, you can't you can't get any, you can't even use them because you just, and then you're stuck with the old stuff that isn't really that helpful. So it's interesting.
I was going to say, Harry's built his own tool. You built your own tool recently, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been building loads actually, and even without a Python skill set, sure, I have to say, with very limited skill in that. Yeah, I think it's been the most interesting. This is where it can get a bit positive. Like definitely the most interesting period of my working life in SEO over the last few years is like the democratization of all of this, of just being able to prototype things through Lovable, figure out how you can store things through databases, go into Cursor to make it sort of a bit less clunky. It's probably a good way of doing it. Is like, I think you can build stuff now that wouldn't be a tenth of the price of what you would be paying elsewhere. So you're right, Sean. I think they do need to be careful because what they did have, kind of moat they did have beforehand in lots of cases, it's probably not there anymore.
Yeah. Amanda, what was your social top pick?
Sure. So it was actually a post on LinkedIn by Jonas Fickler talking about Reddit. So no, we obviously spoke about Reddit a little bit earlier, and there's a lot of discussion at the minute around how Reddit appears in the search results. But they'd done a research piece, and it highlighted that 71% of all page one Reddit mentions for Fortune 1000 companies were negative. So they'd actually kind of researched all of the Reddit mentions and everything that was coming up in the search results. And what they'd found is that even though Reddit was more prevalent in the search results, 71% of what was being written about these Fortune 1000 companies was all negative. So it kind of sparked a debate around, if certain websites, i.e. Reddit, are going to be more visible in the search results, but a lot of what they're containing is negative by nature, what impact is that going to have on, I guess, branding, reputation management, etc. I just thought it was a really interesting kind of piece of research. And definitely, from a brand perspective, I think many brands probably don't pay too much attention to what gets written on Reddit, but if it's going to be more visible and a lot that's negative, perhaps that's something that needs to be more front of mind.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. So like a lot of companies didn't care that much about Reddit, and now they start like ranking with all these tweets in a Google. People easier can find them. So like they're like, we know that some companies go through the reviews in Google Maps or whatever, and they respond, right? Like that's like really good how to build your trust. But like in Reddit, it's like, and especially also in Quora, I see that companies wasn't paying that much attention, as you mentioned, Amanda, and now they might pay the cost for it.
I was just going to say with AI, with the bots and stuff, you can easily now populate pages quite quickly with AI bots. Yeah. So how much of that negativity is human versus AI is going to be interesting. Sorry, Harry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think Reddit becomes super interesting now in lots of ways, and one of which is like, because it becomes pretty front of mind to people, lots of people are like, oh, we have to have a plan for Reddit. We have to do something. I think if you listen to people who know enough about Reddit, which, to be fair, I'm not one of them, but like, it's pretty easy to see how you could absolutely destroy your brand in the space of like a couple of pretty shitty weeks of people just posting links within Reddit for your own stuff. Like, unless you really understand it and the people there, just going to get more flack and you can get more and more negativity that comes your way. So it's like, it's interesting. I don't think you can fake Reddit. It's like, it takes a long time to be able to do it really well. And to your point, Stan, it's like there's already a lot of negativity in there about a lot of companies. So you'd have to approach it with caution if you're going to do it.
And then that kind of opens the door a little bit, because it's like, destroy your brand or destroy your competitor's brand.
Exactly. And what's even worse, I think like companies right now, like fast wants to jump on the train of Reddit. So they hire like some random people who are like, yeah, we can do a Reddit for you, and you pay us like, I don't know, €1,000 and we will get you in like 1,000 tweets, but that can make even more harm than benefit at the end of the day. So, yeah.
You see with Trustpilot, some people just totally ignore that, because actually sometimes when you reply to a negative review, it goes off and then it's like this whole big thread and it looks like an argument with a customer. It's a tricky situation. It really does take that brand management. I think people are going to have to get, if they weren't before, like learn about doing that like a lot more than they did before, in the best possible ways. I don't know where that fits in, if that's SEO's job, but we'll have to see how that goes. Nick, what about yourself?
I thought this one was quite interesting. So Google was asked on Reddit if there was a best CMS to use besides what was best for SEO. And John Mueller from Google answered and basically said, in 2025, all modern CMSs are good. There's no one modern CMS that's better than the other. And I just thought that was really interesting, because I've worked at companies before, I won't name any names, but there was like debates with the IT team, it wasn't that long ago either, with the IT team over like what CMS to use, which was best, and around WordPress. And now Google has set the record straight, so no need to have any arguments around that anymore. They're all good at this in 2025.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think that was always a debate, wasn't it? And like this channel's website, it was on Wix, for example, and I always thought, I don't know if Wix is going to rank. Like, I don't know if it's going to be. I know I've tried Crystal on the channel recently, but like, you do wonder, but it's doing all right. So, I think, yeah, it's good to hear that. Stan, what about yourself?
Yeah, since I mostly focus on B2B SaaS, what really caught my attention was post on the LinkedIn from Casey Hill. He posted that Winker.com is a B2B SaaS company. They created a dedicated AI info page. So like basically they created on their website page, which is saying like, that's our product. It was created that time. That's our CEO. That's the reviews from Capterra, from G2, links to it. What else they have there? Like pricing. So like it's really dedicated, and even like H1 and title of the page is AI info. So they like really want to focus if AI is scraping like through the web to find this. And it's part of like really interesting conversation in the comments. So like it's interesting to check even this post. And people was like, okay, but like for me, it's not showing. Maybe it was showing for you because you did some research before on when they were discussing about the results, like final result, if it really works, this page. They were like, maybe it's only affected for you, for your results, because you already did some research on this brand. But actually, there were a few people who say like, okay, we put the same prompt as you, and actually, it's giving us the results from that dedicated page. So like, I think it's worth it to try it for your clients if you are in B2B SaaS, especially. Maybe even for others, like for publishers, like to say like, yeah, we are publisher, we publish about these and these topics and all these things. I don't know, maybe it could work. Or in e-commerce even.
Did you see, I forgot his name. Will something, who, I'm going to LinkedIn him now. But basically they were talking about, he did a test, he runs an agency in the US, Will Reynolds. There we go. You heard right.
Yeah.
He runs an agency in the US, and they were talking about how they were basically ran a test to see what would get picked up in LLMs. And they spent ages doing like interviews with people in the banking industry, going to like awards and events in the banking industry, writing case studies and blah, blah, blah. And then they also just wrote like 8 words in the footer about what they do, and nothing was picked up apart from like the 8 words in the footer, which got picked up in about an hour. And he was like, again, this is like SEO from 2001 again, which I thought was quite funny.
Cool for you. Awesome. We're actually kind of running on time, and I'm going to finish off with mine, and then we're done. But I feel like I'm saying so much today, but the person I'm actually going to talk about, I'm having on the show soon, believe it or not. But it's Brittany Müller, and she just did a great summary post of some things that's going on in the AI world that were just like really intriguing. And obviously, OpenAI's Atlas just recently got launched. Within 48 hours, it got jailbroken. And yeah, there's a story around that. And a few of them, I think, there's like Comet as well, also similar thing there around that. So, you know, the security issues around those sort of browsers and stuff is being questioned. Also, this one that she mentioned, AI assistants get the news wrong 45% of the time. New research from the BBC and European Broadcasting Union evaluated over 3,000 responses from ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Perplexity, and the results were that 45% of all AI answers had at least one significant issue. 1 in 5 contained major accuracy problems, including hallucinating details and outdated information. So that was interesting. And then the final one she said was about the AI content flood is here, and about Spotify removed 75 million spam tracks this year that's on the platform. And it's funny, actually, because people have all sorts of thoughts about the music being generated by AI. But actually on Joe Rogan, he was going on about how good the 50 Cent stuff is, where they've made it kind of Motown and soul music. So I guess some people love it. So, yeah.
So back to your the first thing you talked about on this call, Sean, which was Elon Musk, Wikipedia, and my main thought was like, honestly, the two things that I really want less of in my life in the internet at the minute is Elon Musk and like AI generated content. As I said, the Wikipedia was like really at the zenith of like, don't do this to me. I don't need this.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had to cover it because of Wikipedia stuff. I bang on about it so much.
I'm not blaming you, but you just present the news, Sean. We have shitty tastemakers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I tell you what, God help the under 35s that trust everything they're reading from AI, and if they think that's the accurate version of the news, my goodness. And especially, you know, any of like school children that might be using AI for their dissertations or their essays, their coursework. Imagine the hallucinations that are going to pop up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, finish off. I told the story before on the channel, but there's this professor, and he kept seeing that all his students were using AI to do, you know, not even reading the question and just getting the AI to do it and giving homework or whatever you call it. And he put in a trick word, he put Dua Lipa in there to try and see if they actually read the question. And it all came, and many of them came back, including with the answers with Dua Lipa involved in it. So clearly, so there's some ways to trick them to see if they're doing it or not. But yeah, I'd just like to thank you all for your time. I think it's actually a pretty awesome show, so I'm looking forward to doing more of these. So yeah, thank you so much, and hope you all have a good Halloween.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Thanks, Sean.